Part 2 of the Gates-Obama-Crowley Beer Fest Stupidity, also known as Stupidly. Last week, President Obama invited Harvard Professor Henry Gates and Police Sergeant Crowley to the White House in an attempt to save Obama's dire approval ratings that fell drastically since his stupidly comment. However, 2 days later, we find out the truth about Sgt Crowley, who has falsified his police report. He embellished and lied about his supposed interaction with Miss Whalen, the 911 caller. Miss Whalen stated through her attorney, Wendy Murphy, that she never spoke with Crowley other than pointing her finger upwards to signal that it was she who called 911. But prior to the bogus police report disclosure, police associations went berserk, rallying on stage, demanding Obama apologize. After all, Crowley is an intelligent and outstanding police sergeant, not a blemish on his record, said they. We could tell by Crowley's simper that he is well aware his superiors would stand by their man. If he were truly intelligent, he would have managed at least not to smirk. Sorry, Cambridge. Not only did your sergeant act stupidly, but everyone who spoke out on his behalf. Never mind the fiction Crowley wrote in the police report. Does anyone have the audio of what he actually asked Dr. Gates when he first arrived? Crowley's belligerent response that an apology would never ever come from him spoke volumes as to how he might initially have treated Dr. Gates. Considering he's being coached heavily, Crowley's IQ is far from impressive. Cambridge Police Union President Stephen Killian, whose union does not represent Crowley, added that Obama's comments were disgraceful, etc. Did you find Crowley's falsified police report equally disgraceful and totally inappropriate, Mr. Killian? Killian said the audio tapes will prove Crowley's account of the incident. I am looking very much forward to the tapes. I never doubted that Dr. Gates was mortified and angry. I know I would be. Crowley's attitude was, I am not going to let this guy get away, questioning my authority, and that is an abuse of power. He created the situation so he could humiliate and arrest Professor Gates. And why did the police report 2 backpacks when the lady clearly said suitcases, which they obviously were? I do not believe the issue was wholly about racial profiling. The police is used to total deference, and no one better question the authority of the megalomaniac. Don't for one moment believe this thug lied for the first time. Just listen how he expresses himself even though he is being coached. I see too many comments that we should not talk back to an officer. I'm always respectful to anyone as a rule. Police are our servants, not our masters. We pay their salary, but not to be mistreated or brutalized. Crowley knew Professor Gates would report him, and like most cops, anything less than total deference was unacceptable. How dare he, Crowley clodhopper stupidly, have a badge for heaven's sake? This guy is asking my name and badge number. Jesus, he does not respect my badge. I'll show him. As soon as I get him out of the door, I'll slap the cuffs on him. According to Professor Gates, whom I believe, quote, the officer said thank you for accommodating my earlier request and slapped the handcuffs on me. Crowley's request, I believe, was that he asked Dr. Gates to step outside, correct? Crowley admits he didn't know Henry Gates is a professor. One does not need a vivid imagination to realize how the bully spoke to Dr. Gates. I am sick of the comments that Professor Gates acted superior. Someone in his position just speaking and acting normal would be considered uppity by someone of Crowley's intellect. Crowley's instinct told him that he was déclassé. He did say that his first thought was Dr. Gates was probably not a burglar. But when Professor Gates repeatedly asked for Crowley's ID, the professor's fate was sealed. Crowley flipped, even though the law requires him to provide his name and badge number. It's not just that Crowley lied in this case, but how many other cases has he fabricated? The press is far from innocent in this. They repeat over and again that Dr. Gates admitted the mama comment, when the professor has never said so. And instead of reporting on Crowley's fictitious police report, we have a blackout, and the media suffers from inertia. The hapless, mouth-tied journalists are only allowed to report what kind of beer the three might consume. One of today's headlines, the Beer Summit. As Obama meets with Skip Gates and Sgt Crowley, Mark Katz asks, what does each man's beer say about him? Well, that's right up there with Jessica was spotted eating ice cream. If anyone tells me again that Bill Maher is trashing America, I'm going to lose my cool and punch them as hard as I can. Speaking the truth is unfortunately considered inflammatory. As far as I know, Bill is one of the more intelligent comics. He only spars with his mind, never physically attacked anyone, and he's usually right on target. Mind you, physical attacks are reserved for the police only. A police officer can count on his bosses to repeat any lie and make any excuse in order to find that the official procedures were followed. Any form of police brutality or violence is therefore passed off as okay, and the judgment will be dutifully repeated by enablers in the news media and the legal system. A quote-unquote civilian would be charged with murder, but the police can pull a deaf man out of a restroom and taser him silly, or violently kick and beat a 15-year-old girl for asking a question. The police is privileged to violently brutalize law-abiding citizens. And a police officer can even put out a contract to kill someone on YouTube. A silly beer summit will not change anything, as the emphasis is on the beer. The European media has a ball with that. Guess it's difficult for them to fathom that an abuser would be a guest in the White House. America had its teachable moment, all right. A police sergeant fabricated a police report and abused his power. But instead of being fired, he is backed by several associations and garners an invite to the White House. Sgt Crowley is still shocked. Just listen.
I think I'm shocked. Still shocked.
Yeah, the reason for that is only because he was caught. Give it a bit more time. You will hear from others he abused, but only if they moved away from Cambridge. Unfortunately, people are not that brave.
By the professor and his friends. I have never been accused of being a racist before, to this degree.
Wow, and his bosses say he is intelligent. Crowley actually clearly admitted that indeed he has been accused, just not to this degree. Am I the only one who noticed? Really? Is the press sleeping? Of course not. Obama simply controls them better than anyone before him. President Barack Obama, instead of insulting our intelligence with a lying thug who fabricated his police report, your beer summit has little chance of changing the bully cop mentality. On the contrary, you're creating a monster. You just might be shocked when you hear what situation I encountered with a police officer. It's a wonder I'm still alive. Why not simply be a president and start fulfilling your campaign promises?